Very good. Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Brody. We're going to commence the February 11th, 2025 Lower Makefield Township Park and Recreation Board. I will be filling in for Chair Doug Kraus, who may be joining us. With us today is Rob Labar, Dennis Wasaki, and Park and Rec Director Monica Tierney, also myself, Michael Brody. We do not have a quorum yet, but we are expecting Mike Blundy. I will announce when he comes in for the meeting minutes. Oh, thank you. Sorry. And online is Board of Supervisor and Park and Rec Liaison James McCartney. Before we get, actually, I'm going to wait till Mike comes. So without a quorum, we're going to start with liaison report. So Mike Spillane, do you have anything that you want to say, or are you just here to say hi? Oh, yeah, definitely.
How about now? I'm Mike Spillane, 48 Black Rock Road, here representing the Pennsylvania Athletic Association. Just want to make the township aware of a new program we're starting called the Rally Cap program. This is it started with a initial donation from a team who had leftover funds from the end of the year and gave it to the association with the intention to offset some of the costs for people to play baseball and softball here in Pennsylvania. So we thought it was a great idea, and we kicked it off for a initiative called the Rally Cap program. The idea being that a family that's experiencing some kind of hardships, everyone is, things are tough around all over. We're aware that the cost of playing baseball and softball in Pennsylvania is in the big picture probably not a significant expense, but someone who's dealing with some real stress, if we can give them a little break, just any kind of break or relief, I think that would be a good thing. And then, if there's a hypothetical situation where the family may be having to decide between, say, paying an overdue bill or signing their son up for baseball or softball, if we could take that decision away from them altogether and make sure the kid is out playing, they need to play. PAA has been around since 1953. We'll be celebrating our 75th year in 2028. So, the kids that we help today may be the parents of the kids who are on the field for our 100th anniversary in 2053. So just want to make everyone aware of it. You can go to our website at PAA Ball to see how it lays out. And if anyone wants to donate to it, it's certainly a noble cause. We're not looking for significant money, just a little bit to help some families. We've already helped 6 families already, and more coming. And that's it. Thank you.
People wanted to donate to that. Is there a link on the website or?
Yep. So paaball.com/rallycap, and you'll see a write-up on the program, an explainer video, and then ways to donate to the fund.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Just make a comment too about how the club, this larger association doing this seems like a really good idea. I remember when I was coaching teams back then in PAA and YMS, it was always a challenge because you had families amongst your team, and the teams try to do it individually.
Yep.
And it worked, but this I think this is a very noble thing that you guys are doing, and I support it. I think it's great, and I especially think it's great in the sport of baseball and softball right now, because baseball seems to be one of those sports that's not getting as much attention as it used to, and it's just, in my opinion, the best game in the world.
Yeah,
we got to keep it alive. So let's do that.
Yeah, there's a lot more options for kids to play than when we were younger. Soccer was always a problem, but now there's lacrosse and flag football, and everything goes year round. And just to be clear, the fun is for the in-house kids. If you're playing travel baseball, there's a more outlay for that, but this is for the kids who are really just here to play and have fun, and not necessarily at the higher level. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
For the meeting minutes, Mike Blundy has arrived, so we now have a quorum. Before we continue, I'd just like to say Dennis Wasaki, this will be his last meeting with the Lower Makefield Township Park and Rec Board. Dennis has been on the board and serving for 19 years. He started in 2006. Dennis is going to be moving to the golf board, where he'll be able to continue helping us in how we grow and develop Makefield Highlands. Dennis, on a personal note, you welcomed me with open arms. I joined this board. Everybody on the board when I joined, I think, had been here for about 15, 20 years. So me coming on was definitely the newbie, and you always welcomed me and made me feel comfortable. So I just always appreciate that and appreciate you. And thanks for everything you've done.
Thank you, Brody. That was very nice, very kind. I just would like to, for my last official meeting, recognize the board that I've worked with over the last 19 years, and appreciative of the opportunity it's a privilege to serve on the boards of this township. But my thanks go to the board and the supervisors in the township for giving me the chance to do that for 19 years. And when I started 19 years ago, I was talking to my wife earlier about, like, what was it like back then? Like, what were we really dealing with? And there were a lot of things that weren't even in existence back then. But my primary reason for getting involved in the board was, at the time, I had young boys playing baseball and soccer, and the two organizations did not get along. They were like, and so different than it is today, where there's actually sharing of equipment and, there's just more collaboration amongst the clubs within the township. And the township, I think, also was like at odds with the clubs. They did not really none of those three teams got along. And I just thought it was bizarre. And it was my intent to get involved so I could help, because I just thought there was a way to do it like that was more copacetic. And I can't take credit for doing it, but I think when I look back at what my hope was and where we are now, I think we've achieved a lot of that. There's a lot of things that, like I said, that didn't exist back then, like the turf at Makefield Park, the 75 and 90-foot baseball diamonds across the street, 9/11 Park, all the Memorial Park development. There are so many things that really happened. That the dog park. I did not specifically do any of them by myself, but being part of the group that was responsible for vetting the ideas that were before the board and getting those done, it gives me a tremendous sense of pride. And I just like to thank all you guys. I'm going to miss you. It's nothing other than my passions have kind of shifted as my kids have gone on. And so anyway, I'm moving. I'm still going to work with the township on the golf commission, as Michael said. And anyway, I'll miss all you guys.
Well, we miss you and your, stewardship over the past 19 years, and it's our loss, but it's the golf course committee's gain. So, congrats to you.
Thank you, Michael.
Moving along, we did call to order, roll call. We'll do approval of minutes. We actually have two sets of minutes. The first one's for January 14th, 2005. Any comments?
No comments.
Seeing no comments,
I make a motion
Thank
to
you.
approve the minutes.
we have Rob Labar, motion to approve. Dennis Wasaki, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. February 3rd notes, 2005. Any comments? Motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 4-0. Moving along, we have, I'm sorry, I forget your wife's name, but we have Richard Quake here, who and his wife, who represent the Community Garden Center volunteer area. Sorry, the Community Garden over at the park at Memorial Park. Sorry, just had a
You're okay.
and they're going to come talk to us about a policy review. Thank you.
So just before Richard starts today, Richard has been solely running the community gardens, and I don't know that we have a firm set of rules or policies out there. And with time, it seems that more and more people are showing interest. We even have a little bit of a waiting list this year. So we do have some veterans who've been there. Richard, you've been there about 15 years now. And then there are some even longer than Richard who have been in, running a garden. So Richard and I got together this year and we started talking about how could we better support the garden and how could we come up with some good rules and policies moving along the way. Some things we talked about was reviewing the rules, but then also with time in the future, creating agreements with each gardener, between the gardener and the township, or, and just kind of going through things step by step. So the first step would be this one where we're doing a rule review. We had met originally once, and then I had taken some of the feedback and come up with a draft set of rules. And then Richard, which you'll see before you today, I sent an email today with the markup from Richard. So Richard, if you want to speak on any of those things, the floor is yours.
I don't do it. Rich Quake, 2 Delaware Rim. I don't do it alone. We actually have a very informal 3-member board, although one is not active at all. So I can't take credit for anything. I'm just a gardener. I got in touch with Monica because it was requested that we take a look at what's going on up at the garden. We have never had any kind of formal rules or regulations or anything, which is kind of willy-nilly. When I joined in 2008, it was supposedly a seniors garden, community garden, which I'm not sure who made that one up, but a couple of guys pulled me aside and said, "No, that's not true." So I got a little plot, and we've been going ever since. And we have a good number of long-term gardeners that are really, really enjoy it, like my family does. So Monica came up with some, I'll call them guidelines. And then I kind of just read them over and said, well, how does this apply to us or not apply to us? And hence the red markups. I think that you've covered just about everything. I don't know how in depth you want me to go. Do you want me to go through this?
Well, the one thing I didn't put in there, and Richard and I had a little bit of discussion over, because the gardens are currently free at no cost, we felt that it'd probably be a good idea to be township only, but that would be up to the board of, or the park board, and then eventually the board of supervisors. But this is just for your review today, initial discussion, in hopes that we can solidify some of the rules. If the board has any questions today about them, we'd be glad to discuss, and then we can come back with a more solidified group of rules for the board at the next meeting for your final approval.
And I'll just add, for those that aren't aware, we have approximately 25 plots. Some people have more than one, some people have a half. So I forget how many people we have. What do we come up with? Like 28 people or something currently garden with us on those 25 plots. And a plot originally was 25 feet by 50 feet. People wanted a half a plot. Somebody left and they had raised beds, so they kind of donated it back to us. We decided that would be really good for beginner gardeners. So we have a kind of revolving door of beginner gardeners coming in every year, and we'll assign them a couple of the raised beds to work with. Another gardener has a bunch of raised beds, and he's offered those for people that want more, because we did discuss maybe making some more raised bed gardens for the newer people. Myself, with a 25 by 50 plot, it's perfect size for me. We don't buy any vegetables basically all summer long, with the exception of corn, because I don't grow corn. So it's just been a godsend. And most people that come, that once they get their fingers in the dirt, they just fall in love with gardening, or they're gone before the end of the season. It's just like there's no in between. And we have a really good group of people there that all pitch in and help each other out. But I think that formal rules are a good thing.
And you'll see in the rules, Richard had mentioned to me, which is something that I didn't know was so much of an issue, that, maybe some people will go and they'll abandon their plot for 2-3 weeks, or, and then it becomes a bit of a mess, or, and then it'll cause problems for other neighboring plots. So the reason we kind of address that in the rules is with rules relating to those things, that how we handle a plot that's not being managed. We can then enforce the rules for future, like when we consider new members coming back or returning members coming back. So that's one of the things, for example, that was not really easy to enforce historically, but this would make it a little easier.
Exactly. And it's the first thing you see when you pull in to the garden up, or the memorial up there. And so we try to keep it looking really nice on the outsides and keep people that are cognizant of how their garden looks on the perimeter facing the driveway.
And Richard, oh, you made me think of another thing. I'm sorry. We also talked a little bit about, we found that the gardeners were throwing their compost into the tree line. So we feel maybe as a township, it might be time for us to create a little compost area that the gardeners could jointly work on. So we did try to incorporate some kind of volunteer language in there to help maybe with that, or I just put an arbitrary amount of hours. We could really determine what that number of hours are, but to help with the composting so that the farmers then can use that compost in their gardens for the future. So, but as Richard would say, is I love to grab right out of the tree line. That doesn't necessarily work for the township. So we have to come up with a formal way of composting.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I take my
Mhm.
vegetable refuse and I put it right at the edge of the woods there on the far side. And as that composts over the season, you go underneath and you take out beautiful compost to feed your plants. I didn't realize that would be a problem with the township, and I don't think any other gardeners doing it are aware of that either. So a communal area to compost would be a wonderful idea.
You thinking of just like taking a half plot or something and making that a compost plot?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the language that says like if you abandon your plot, you're done. Is that
Yeah.
what it's saying basically?
Yes.
So
Will there be some kind of signed acknowledgement form each year then of the rules if we approve these, or?
So the goal down the line, and we could do that for now temporarily, but I think the goal down the line is maybe come up with some kind of memorandum of agreement or some kind of lease contract that each farmer will sign as an agreement with the township, including the rules as part of that. This year, we'll probably just have a signed acknowledgement of the rules.
I get it now. There's really not a need for anything beyond sounds like you get a waiting list for residents to. And by the way, I say if it's a free plot, it should just be for residents, in my opinion.
That is.
It says, I think one of the rules was not available to groups or clubs or organizations. Would that view change if there were available plots? Like if we only had 10 interested parties some year and there was a group that wanted to do something as a, Boy Scout, Girl Scout thing
We've had the Girl Scouts in there previously. They came in for one season and did some stuff in there.
so I would only suggest then that language maybe be not so exclusive, saying they're not available for groups, but it would have to be at
Which number is it? I'm sorry.
number 2.
Oh,
I would just say
okay.
it's primarily, maybe the first thing is for residents and personal use. And if, as space permits, and with permission of the board or you, Monica, they could go beyond that.
One of our gardeners donates a significant amount of his produce and then has a bin in his plot that when we had other gardeners have additional, we put it in there and he gives it to Phil Abundance.
Mhm.
So, some good things come out of there.
Yep. And I see that you struck the language around the plot boundaries, which seemed kind of innocuous, but is there a reason you didn't want to have them recognized as being boundaries?
No, not at all. There are no stakes there. They're just kind of long. The way it used to work is we all took our fences and everything down at the end of the season. In the spring, the township would come in and plow the whole plot. And that,
It's a lot of work.
a lot of work with two problems. One, if you had somebody abandon a plot, the township just drug all those weed seeds across into your nice, neat area that you've been working on for years. And the other thing is, it is a lot of work to take down and put up a fence each year. A lot of work. But we did have stakes marking each one. So every spring, myself and a couple guys that are no longer there that used to run it, we would take rope, 50-foot rope by 25 rope and stake everything out, make sure everything was square and everything and start over again. Well, now it's set. So we don't have stakes to mark out boundaries, but they are set.
So is every farmer then responsible for their own tilling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, if somebody can't, we pitch in, somebody's a tiller or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna, if you're okay with it, I'll leave this, if you guys don't have any more questions
I-
today. Okay, good. Oh, good.
I largely would start by saying that nobody's ever come here to complain about how things are going there in my time here. So I'm hesitant to get involved much beyond what we need to. Why, is there a wait list just because not enough space?
Yes and no. The wait list, the current wait list is only a couple people. It seems like last year, was it last year you put the signs up?
Mhm.
Put signs up saying, hey, community garden, if you're interested, you call this number. And so there's been some interest from that. Typically about real rough, half the gardeners that come in new come back the following year. So there's always a little bit of turnover. Right now, we're seeing a lot of requests for smaller plots, including just the raised beds. It's like people don't necessarily want to do all the work and go to Home Depot and spend $100 on deer fencing and chicken wire and those kinds of things.
If somebody stops growing theirs out, what happens? Do you got, like, does the next door neighbor take it over and get it, or do you just clear it out so that it doesn't create a problem for other people? I was just kind of curious if there's like a follow through on that.
Generally, if I know the person is done, I have a mower up there and I just go mow it down and weed whack it down and
Very good. So I would just consider potentially putting, you know what I mean? Like similar, like if you park here, we'll tow your car. I would maybe add something along those lines of like, you know, if you lose your spot, like it will be gone. It's not like we're just going to let it grow and
Right.
come back in 4 weeks and see what happened, you know?
Right.
So that would be that. Again, I won't get involved, but like in the plot registration, like I just didn't know how priorities decided. I don't really, again, nobody's complained, but like at some point, if people start complaining, I guess you'd have to explain how we're deciding that.
For me, it's first come, first serve. So I get an email generally from, I don't want to mispronounce the name, Monica.
Samya.
Samya, thank you. I get an email from Samya. So those are all time and date
And
stamps.
then your returners are the first people to reply because they've wanted to do it and they're waiting for the email to come out.
Precisely.
Brody, you make a good point though. Like, so when someone abandons their plot, it's probably obvious to a farmer, like it's not being cared for anymore.
Correct.
But do people actually then officially say, I'm done, I can't do it anymore?
I
Why
made
your
more
wife's
of an effort to
figuring
get
no.
contact information from each and every gardener.
Yeah.
Some I didn't have, for example, one last year, guy couldn't make it back. And nobody knew. One guy knew, he said, yeah, he's done. So myself and that guy who happened to be adjacent to him went in and cleaned it out.
And
He
that's
actually
the,
left some of the like tomato plants growing and stuff. And
I was
that
gonna
went-
say
and
that-
that stuff all went to Phil Abundance.
right. Okay. That was my point. If
So-
I was,
To protect, I guess my only thing on this would be I'd like to protect you
Richard, yeah.
in that rule. So I'd like the rule to be clear if after 2 weeks and some sort of like determination
notice.
by your board, you can bring notice to them,
Mhm.
something that gives you a chance to say, hey, I sent emails on this date, and this date, like maybe one every 2-3 weeks, whatever, like
Right.
whatever's reasonable.
Okay.
I'm not trying to go overboard, but something that gives you the clearance of all of us that like,
Right.
yeah,
So
sorry, you left. We're not going to allow you to overrun the garden.
So the goal would be to back Richard up. So I could even say, notice from the township saying, it's come to our attention that you've abandoned your lot. You have so many days to respond or something along those lines so that we could back
If
Richard
somebody's
up.
going on an extended vacation, they'll grab their neighbor or me or
Mhm.
whatever and say, hey, can you water for me or keep an eye out for me? And so it's really neighborly up there.
As I said, it's a community garden. It sounds like you all run it like that. So
Yes.
I don't want to even talk about it, but
Mhm.
I do want to protect you and in that sense.
so
Thank
Richard, that kind of work that you'd be doing when like there's an abandoned plot, it's got to be cleared over. Is that part of the volunteer hours you would expect people to put in?
Probably, yeah.
You need anything?
I think right now I'll take your comments, I'll bring them back and then bring a fresh copy to the next meeting for a potential approval.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I question is you have to be 18. Like you couldn't be 16 to go in there or 15 to go in there.
Well, I think that's more about township liability than anything. There are youngsters that go in and to their parents' gardens and pick or weed or whatever.
I mean, what's a lifeguard is 15 years old or 14 years old?
A lifeguard is 15. To be honest, I was just using some of the notes from the state or examples. So I just,
People can drive when they're 16. I mean,
right.
That would
You
be,
want to change it to 15 and older, you think?
I would.
An older with parent sign off? At least you have like kind of like a co-signer?
I didn't have anything to do with that one. That was just all in there. Is it just about liability or?
It was just based on other examples, to be honest. So
Right, just says they have to
there's
be-
flexibility.
A lot of the examples, particularly the ones that I looked at and then the ones that Monica showed me, kind of seemed like because of a lot of the strikes in here, were designed more for like a city or something like that that just doesn't apply to us. So you don't want a gang of kids going in there and, wreaking havoc or something like that. It's probably where that came from.
It's really not saying they're not allowed. It's just saying they have to be accompanied by a supervisor. or
Yeah,
something.
and so I don't think that's necessary. I think, if you're allowed to drive a car, you ought to be responsible enough to go and garden, is my point.
Michael, what if we keep with the same language we have at the pool? So once you're 14 years old, you can go to the pool alone. Once you're 14 years old, you can help at the garden alone. So we're
Yeah.
consistent across. the
Yeah,
board.
I mean, yeah. Now, if we find that, there's a gang of 14-year-olds going there and, taking everybody's fruit for themselves, I mean, then we could revisit it, but
That's actually never happened.
Yeah.
I've had some stuff stolen, some produce stolen out of my plot or whatever, and I kind of ran into a person that was picking, and you get to know the people, right? And so they're in the garden, they don't look familiar. I said, hey, that your garden, knowing that it's not. And they're like, no, it's a community garden. So a lot of us have just very lightweight little locks on our garden, just to let people know, hey, this isn't just free picking.
Are there cameras there?
I mean, maybe we can clarify that in the rules and post them. That way people know these aren't for open picking. That could be something maybe. Or with time, we could create a one bed that everybody volunteers on that is for community pit. I don't know, but right now that's.
That would
well,
be-
you had said this is not a problem, right? That, it's not.
I
And I don't think the
currently,
14-year-old
there
is
isn't
probably
anybody
the-
probably under the age of 30
Yeah.
up there that shows up on a regular basis.
Monica, just to whatever extent, like the pool has an out for just behavior where we can just like, where the township has the ability to like stop your, I'm just thinking out loud. If, again, it doesn't happen, I'm sure, but if all of a sudden you get somebody who was always disruptive there for whatever reason, for whatever's going on in their life, that they're in a place where they're a disruptive person and they have their plot already, but they're disruptive in a aggressively, you know what I mean? Like, I would think we'd want a behavioral way. What if somebody,
Well, we can always cite code.
right, that's what I'm saying. I just
Yeah.
wanted, yeah,
So we don't need to
Okay.
necessarily put that in here. We
That's
could
fine.
cite code.
there's code that,
Mhm.
however you get out of a pool membership, I'm sure there's people who behavior wise can lose their pool membership, right? So
Mhm.
whatever that associated. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Okay.
Like, I'm sure if I came drunk all the time everywhere and I started acting very like belligerent, that I would eventually lose my membership to some of these things that people were complaining about me. Like that. All right, so
Okay.
we good to move on?
Good to move on.
Very good. Moving on.
So next is Kevin.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate
Thank you
your
so
comments
much,
tonight.
Richard. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Next, thanks for waiting. I hope I pronounce it right. Kevin Petri?
It's Petrie.
Petrie. Kevin is with the CivicRec, is here with CivicRec and is going to give us a presentation on CivicRec.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Peter. Kevin, sorry.
It's all good. Appreciate everyone allowing me the time to join you all here tonight. Monica and David and I have been working toward CivicPlus and Lower Makefield partnering to help enhance the online experience for the community members of Lower Makefield, while also at the same time providing some operational efficiencies to the staff behind the scenes. So I can really take this any direction that you want. I want to be respectful of everyone's time tonight and such. So I'm going to give a brief overview of some of the key points that we've been working on. But I also want to make sure that I save some time for some Q&A for everyone here in attendance to get your feedback as to what you may be looking for in improvements of the online experiences that you've had in regards to park and recreation. So with that, let me go ahead and share out my screen. And I'm just going to start here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So just real quickly, a little overview of who CivicPlus is as an organization. Who you partner with is incredibly important. Want to make sure that you have an understanding that CivicPlus is the leader in GovTech technology for local governments. So we have 20 years of experience. We have over 12,000 customers using our solutions across the country. We are an Inc. 5000 company, a GovTech 2023, 2024 company, and we on a yearly basis receive award recognition for the customer service that we are providing to local municipalities that we partner with. And as you take a look here, one of our goals is to power and empower local governments. And as you can see from this wheel chart, gives an understanding of the true depth of our solutions that we're providing. And right now we're talking about our recreation management piece, but we are also talking with the municipality in regards to our municipal website as well. Those tend to be a really good combination of providing a better online experience. Any initial questions with who CivicPlus is as a company? I can certainly go more in depth here if you'd like, or I can begin to move on.
So before we go any further, Kevin, I just want to, the reason I brought Kevin here is I presented this during budget time and I felt like there were some questions I couldn't answer for the board. So I was hoping that some of the questions that you might have had during budget time, this would be a time to ask Kevin. If he can't answer them today, then we can get back with really clean, questions. I know, in particular about reporting and those type of things. So if those type of questions, Kevin is the expert. He would be able to answer any of those questions for you today while we have him on the line. Sure.
Actually, Monica, question for you, I think. Is this something that we're looking at exclusively for Park and Rec, or is it broader in the township?
I think long-term, there's consideration for potential be a single sign-on solution. So right now, there's a lot of different apps that the township uses to administer whatever, all permits to whatever. So the reason that CivicPlus is so appealing is that eventually down the line, they do have modules for every other department, almost every other department, to down to the website to create that single user sign-on. To me, they're appealing because of some of the other aspects as well. But so right now, we're talking just recreation. When it was on the Board of Supervisor agenda on budget day, and it was originally declined, it was on with the website associated with the approval, and ultimately was voted down. So I do want to make sure that we're approaching it properly. Maybe if we go where we regroup a little bit, maybe we can, and everybody feels really comfortable with it, we can move forward again.
Kevin, can you make the screen larger? Can you blow that up anymore?
Is that working for you? Can you see that better? Or it may be something that you may need to do on your
I think
share
it's in your
screen.
slides too. Yeah. Or in your packet.
Kevin,
Yeah.
Kevin, should I consider this a CRM for a township? So like, like I work in finance. And so like when I think about like CRM and like my customer relationship, I think about all the workflows of my company and then all my customer workflows, and the CRM kind of ties all those databases together. When I think about Monica and the things that she has to worry about and the things that the township has to worry about in terms of their clients being their residents and then like the offerings that they have, should I be thinking of this in that way correspondingly? Is this considered sort of like a CRM for them?
You can certainly look at it in that fashion. It is each and every single one of the community members has the ability to create an account, and Monica and her team are going to have the transparency down to those account level and be able to see that, this community member is signed up for this membership. This community member has a dog park membership. This is when they're, this is the last 30 times that they checked into the pool. So you can absolutely look at it in that fashion. And if you want to take a more longer term vision in conjunction with this pie chart that I'm talking about, what we're trying to do as a company, as CivicPlus, what we see in the GovTech space is everyone is looking to have move towards that one singular data point where you have that transparency of, look, this community member didn't just sign up for a dog park membership, but this community member also 3 weeks ago went online and put in a service request for a pothole in Main Street. And 3 weeks ago, they took a look at the agenda and meeting minutes for the upcoming board meeting and such. So it's really that total transparency. And for the community member, it's just providing them that one-stop frictionless online experience where they get to do it with one username, one password, and they have all of that data right at their fingertips. So we're trying to start that with the recreation management piece, because in my conversations with Monica, that is where we feel we can really truly impact your municipality the most right out of the gate. But we would certainly want to have conversations with you about our other solutions down the road as we find other ways that we could potentially make things more efficient and effective for your community members.
And so Monica, you'd be using it more for the workflow aspect of it, like in the build up before we grab the customer data, so to speak. You'd be using it more to help facilitate your memberships, your signups, and just all that. Is that
more or less, probably not at the same scope as what you're used to in your office, but yes, yeah, it helps us. We've been talking a lot about efficiencies and cost savings and best use of time with the staff. And by having a better system that's a lot less difficult for the end user to use, it does help us save quite a bit of time with our staff, but also, reduces the amount of paper that we utilize within the office. It reduces, stress with the staff members having to send emails to every single pool member. That would no longer have to happen. For instance, I sent you the weekly report. I think there was over 100 and some pool specific related emails. Each one of those means they have to go into CommuniPass, check the account, look at the account, make sure what paperwork they have, right back to the email, and then that email then gets a response and then another response. So you can see just now in the very beginning, the amount of work that we have to do with our current system. It's just not efficient in how we're operating. So, this will help us become more efficient in the department.
Just for my clarification, what does CRM mean?
CRM is client relationship management tool.
Mhm.
So if you think about, Mike, like if you have like an online brokerage account, you would call me up. You call me up to reset your password. You call me up because you have a login issue. You call me up because you can't see quotes for your stock trades. So now every time you call, I say, okay, I know Mike Blundy called. He has login issues the last 4 times he's called. So now when he calls, I know right away, hey, Mike, are you okay? Are you logged in okay? And so now I can have a more forthcoming conversation. Sometimes when you go to restaurants, Mike, you'll get to the restaurant and they'll know you because they'll know that the last time you ate here, you complimented a certain wine. And then the next time you go there, they'll say, hey, Mike, do you want that bottle of wine that you had last time? And they'll tell you the bottle of wine. So it's a way of sort of like kind of tracking. Some people, some people would consider tracking, but it's to ultimately be able to build a more jointed customer relationship.
Yeah,
So
completely.
I'm not sure to this detail, that detail. That's what this,
I'm explaining what a CRM is. That's what a CRM is.
yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what that is the goal.
Mhm.
The end of the day is you have too many databases,
Mhm.
and a CRM is taking way too many disparate systems and too many databases and bring them together so that you can view all that data at a single point of contact.
Yeah.
And so if you're saying that, like when somebody comes to you with a swimming email and you want to be able to see what they have, like any unit of this that you purchase and implement into our databases, I would assume you would be able to touch.
So Kevin, I don't know if you can expand on that a little bit better.
I can. I
okay,
can.
thank you.
Can you see can everyone see the screen?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. So here I am over at Bucks County Park and Recreation. They use us for the municipal website. They also use us for the recreation management. So I'll just give a real clean example of within 2 clicks, I'm on their online catalog and I'm seeing all of the offering of the Bucks County Park and Recreation Department. And right up top here, I can very quickly click login with email, and I'm going to go ahead and log in using my credentials. And once I'm logged in, along the left-hand side, I see my family, and I can use any of these filterings to find the programming or the facilities that I'm looking for. So if I know that my kids are going to be off from school on Friday and I'm going to the Eagle Parade and I need to make sure that they're, doing something, I'm going to click on youth, and it's automatically going to start filtering down and only showing me youth programming that's available. And then from there, I can go ahead and say, okay, it needs to be on Friday, and it's streamlining it even more for me. So it gives the community member a very quick way to find what they're looking for as far as the park and recreation service offerings and such. I know, one of the one of the items that we're talking about with Monica is your dog park, right? So here are the memberships for the dog park. It gives me my information about the membership of the dog park. What does that consist of? And then it gives me a dog park for non-resident, and it gives me a dog park for membership. So if I click on, or for resident, if I click on the resident, it gives me more information about what that entails. And then down here, this is where I would be able to click on myself and sign myself up for a dog park membership. But I can't, because I'm not a resident of Bucks County. I'm over here in Southern New Jersey. So it tells me, look, this program is restricted to local residents only. So I now know my experience isn't, oh, I have to call Monica. Why isn't this letting me sign up for it? I know why I can't sign up for it. I don't need to make that phone call to her staff. I can come back up here to the non-resident, and from there I can go ahead and click on myself, and I can add it to the cart. And now my dog park membership is in my cart. If I wanted to rent a facility, I could go up and rent a facility right in the same cart. So I'm sitting here. Let's take a look at our picnic and pavilions. It's given me all of my information. Here's park. Here's pavilion number 2. And from here, I can go ahead and I can take a look. What dates am I looking for? What's available? What's not available? I can select the date. And then from there, I can go ahead and select my regular non-resident rate, and I can add that to my cart.
What's the payment process?
So we have we have payment providers. We have 3 preferred payment providers that we'll align you with. Based off of the work that I've been doing with Monica, we've narrowed it down to our one partnership with CardPoint. We feel like their devices are very much in line with best use cases at pools, which is certainly an area of need for Monica and her team. So that's why we're moving in that direction with CardPoint as that preferred partner. So from here,
is that part of the, excuse me, Kevin, is that part of CivicPlus, membership, or is it an additional cost for?
So everything that you're seeing here is part of the proposal that we've put in front of Monica and David and the Board of Supervisors and such. So if I come back over here to this document, you'll see a long listing of functionalities that are included in the base product offering. So all your different types of programming, league management, membership management, volunteer management, facility reservations, our reporting engine, event ticketing, point of sale, the ability to email and text blast out based off of different targeted specific categories, the ability to do surveys. So the ability automate a survey that goes out after a facility reservation to get feedback from that community member. Was the facility set up properly? Is there anything that you'd like to see available along with your facility reservation? Getting that community feedback is certainly really important in local government. And then most importantly now here in 2025, the fact that it's mobile ready, it's mobile optimized. So the experience that you're getting from the desktop, you can get a very similar experience from your mobile device in signing up for a program. So when Monica and her team, they sent out this amazing email saying, hey, look, dog park memberships are going online today, starting at 8 a.m. When you receive that email, if you're receiving it at your computer or you're receiving it at your mobile device, either experience, you have the ability to go up and sign up for that dog park membership.
Can I ask this question? How does this correlate or coordinate with what we may already have? So for example, the dog park, you need a pass. Will there be an ability through this, if there's a mobile app, that you will just have the pass on your app?
I don't know the answer to that.
Not at this time. We do membership cards, but it is not a digital membership card at this time. That is very high up on our priority list and as far as releasing new enhancements, but it's not something that we're offering today. What we do find local governments that are looking for that, if you do you have a physical card right now for your dog park memberships, Monica?
We have a key fob. So they just scan their barcode.
But it's barcoded, right?
Yes.
The key fob. So
Yeah.
what people that if you don't want to carry that around with you, they'll just take a picture of that on their mobile device and then scan it from their mobile device.
So I also wanted to mention a time savings for us too, which Kevin didn't know to talk about, but it's a big deal to us. Right now, if you're a resident or non-resident, anybody could sign up and say they're a resident, and we have to physically go through every account and make sure that they're actually residents. With this system, we wouldn't have to do that. All the addresses would be programmed into the system, and it would recognize resident, non-resident on its own, which is awesome. Big time
So
savings.
what's on the screen here with the different things? Is that a collaboration then with CIVICREC and your people, Monica, to put the schedule out of what is there? So for example, like the summer stuff that we have, the activities and all that. Are you able to manually put that in, or do you coordinate with them on how that's going and what's gonna be there? And if changes are made from year to year or week to week or whatever, how does that work?
I think ultimately they empower us. So they help us with the initial launch, and just like our current software. And then from there, we would have to know how to input the programs. But I'm sure you're here. Yeah, Kevin, you have very good customer service, so you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So it doesn't stop during the evaluation process, right? Where we really make our name in the industry, it's a service that we provide afterwards. So the implementation, Monica will receive a dedicated implementation consultant, a dedicated project manager. These people that she'll be working with, they are hired straight from the park and recreation local government world. So they've all lived the day in the lives of park and recreation employees and such. So right out of the gate, they're speaking the same languages as Monica and her staff, and training them on how to use our administrative tools to put the programs out, to put the facilities out, to maintain those going on, to easily, as seasons go to new seasons, to just copy and paste those to new seasonalities for the following year, so that you're not doing that same work over and over and over and over again. The idea is to be as efficient and effective as possible in using these tools. But yes, there are certainly cases where Monica and one of her team members, they may forget, oh, what does this field over here do? We have an online knowledge base. We have a support that is US based, and you can access us via email, phone, and chat, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again,
Right,
that is award-winning support.
So Monica's team would be responsible for managing the website. If they have questions, you're available.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So as you take a look at your screen here, these catalog, these buttons, Monica and her team, they're going to work with our implementation team. They're going to figure out what's the best way to organize Lower Makefield's service offerings, right? And then they'll teach Monica, okay, here's how to do a pool membership, and they'll walk her through doing one. And then, just like Monica was back in school, after they get done that training session, Monica and her team, they're going to go back and they're going to put in maybe some of the other memberships. And then before they move on in training, they'll take a look at some of the work that Monica and her team did, and they'll sign off on it. Like, great job. Let's move forward to facility training and do the same thing over again. We like they say, we don't want to do all the work. We want to train Monica and her team how to fish.
How does this coordinate? For example, I forget what the program is with pickleball, but would this take over that, or would it mesh up with the pickleball people, or how would that?
Well, pickleball is a unique beast. So I'm not sure right away that we'd switch it over, just because pickleball players already are using that app for other pickleball locations. So it's something that we'd have to.
Coordinate with that app, or is that we're either going to have to stay with the app, or we're going to have to go with something on?
Kevin, do you have anybody who's doing pickleball on your app yet for rentals and memberships?
So our facility management will absolutely positively allow your communities to book pickleball courts. That's something that's well within our abilities. When Monica talks about pickleball and pickleball being its unique beast, she is not wrong. It's certainly something that we see all across the country. There is, when you mention pickleball to certain local governments, they duck and cover. It's pretty. It's pretty
Kevin,
unique.
when your slideshow was playing before, I noticed there were a couple of people carrying golf bags. Do any of your current clients have golf courses they manage, and is it useful in those situations, and if so, how?
Great question. I come from a golf management background. It's how I started my career. We are not a golf management software. That is a very specific product need. If you're looking to do tee times online, again, this is not a great fit to manage tee time online. If you just want to say, hey, I want to go out there and I want the 9:30 slot, and you're not worried about one person taking up 4 spots or 2 people taking up, 4 different golf slots, then we can certainly manage it. We can manage the point of sale aspect of it. But if you're managing your course with pretty intricate golf tee time aspects, I would say you need to stay exactly where you're at for right now.
So like if people were looking for this like one sign-in option from the township, and I signed in and I come to my homepage, there'd be no way of linking that, even though I get the golf management system or even the park registration or pool registration for that matter. They might all be systems that they might not be supported specifically for those purposes, but can you interface with those or?
Well, we're not going to interface with them, but based off of the screen that you see here, there is nothing that stops you from potentially having a golf tee time tab here. And within the information area underneath of that, you could absolutely direct them out to the online golf tee times. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do see people that have done that.
Okay. So you won't connect to like an API if like if the golf or pickleball program offer an API, that's a way for one database to talk to another. That you don't.
Thank you.
So you won't support that, but you would just allow linking to a different site.
That's correct. That's correct. We're certainly looking to enhance some of our APIs. Golf is something that we talk about internally a lot. It's an ever-changing aspect in local government. There's a lot of local government out there that are just outsourcing it to other departments, and some are doing it internally. Again, I was in the golf business for 18 years. I know what it takes to build out a tee time management software, and I tell our people in-house, if you think that you're building out a tee time management software over the course of the next year, you're wrong. That's not what it's gonna be.
If I may, Monica, a question for you again. And I think I've asked this question before, and I think I know the answer, but I'm just going to confirm. The township doesn't have an IT hub or central IT person, do they?
Not right now, but we're working through that. I think that's coming real soon.
'Cause I think-
Actually, I think April Fool's Day, we have a new IT company starting that.
Sure you do.
I know, I'm not sure whether to believe it or not, but I think it's April Fool. James might know that if he's on. He's not on anymore.
The reason I mention that is because it'd be a shame. I know there's like this system probably has tons of capabilities that would be useful to you, but I would hate for it to become an island unto itself that doesn't really end up fitting with what the township ends up needing in the long run. So that's where I think someone who can like bless it from the technical perspective, someone who is responsible for interfacing all the stuff where it's possible at the township level, kind of weighing in on it.
Yeah, and that there's definitely value in that. Today was just an exercise of the board getting all of their questions answered that I couldn't answer previously. And then, then we move from there. We decide if you feel good about it to try and move forward. And if not, then we regroup. So, and that decision doesn't need to be made today.
One of the things that's on here is the ability to do surveys. We just had one for Community Day.
Mhm.
So how would that work? Could you just go on here, you and your staff, and be able to put the questions, put parameters of when it comes down, and you would automatically get a report back from the program, or is it more to it than that?
Well, the thing I like about this is that per program or per reservation, we do surveys. Now we have the option to do community-wide surveys through Zen City, which is a completely different platform than this is. But as far as the logistics behind that, Kevin would have to answer that question.
Right.
That's not
So
something
if you take a look at your screen here, as I go into any of the programming, you'll see that.
Would this replace Zen City? It would be duplicative, or?
Well, Zen City is like a social media management software. It's a little different.
Still use that? Like, I'm just trying to figure out.
I mean, that's a township-wide thing, and we're focused on Park and Rec right now.
Yeah, so I would say that Zen City, they would still use that if they want to get feedback from everybody, and they would get feedback from this particular tool just on the specific thing that, we had people registered for. So if we want to know what pickleball people think, we would send this, if pickleball is a part of it, we would send this to pickleballers. If we want information back from pool people, we would send this to all the pool people who were registered.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one question, or maybe a few questions. So we have a number of different leagues. We have a baseball league. We have a soccer league. And, we don't get any registration information from them because they're, each league does their own thing. Could CivicPlus handle the registration piece of that, collect the money, and then, give that back out to the clubs?
We could certainly handle the reservation piece of it. As far as dispersing the money back out to the clubs, you could tag each league with its very own unique GL code. So from a financial reporting standpoint, you would know exactly what those leagues needed to be paid out to. In addition to that, if you wanted to, not just take the registrations for those leagues, but help those leagues do scheduling and reservation of the various fields and such, we also have an entire league management functionality set that could allow that to take place more efficiently and effectively.
And that's part of what we would, what would be included with
It is. It is. And that's certainly something that we see in local government. We see a lot of park and recreation organizations that they manage their leagues in-house, but we also see a fair amount that the organizations handle it outside of park and rec. And we see some that are wanting to bring certain things in-house, and we see others that are saying, you know what, this is best if we just let them continue to do their own thing. The goal here is to put Monica in a place where if maybe she wanted to try for, you know, 1 or 2 leagues to see what this would look like, she's got functionality and tools in place to do it and do a test run and then see, okay, well, hey, do we want to bring other leagues in? So if Monica got to a point where that's a direction she wanted to take operationally, she's going to be in a position to do that. Whereas right now, she's not. There's no league management capabilities within the software that she has right now.
So you can get whether or not they're a resident or non-resident with your, like, how do you know that?
So with an integration with ArcGIS, which is the mapping software that the community has, it when they set up their account, they'll put in their name, email address, and they'll plug in their physical address, and it will look right at that mapping software, and it will determine whether or not that address is a match within the map that was built out. And if it is, then it will deem them as a resident. It'll tag their account as a resident account. That way, from a reporting standpoint, Monica at the end of the year has the ability to say, show me all the interactions that we have from our residents. What is the revenue that we're bringing in from resident activity versus non-resident activity?
Is that compared against a township database that shows residents? Because if you're just relying on someone's input to a field, I could see someone figuring out how to game the system really quickly. Like, hey, everybody uses this address. It's a township address that no one monitors, and you'd have, 100 people living at the same address who would be past the test because it's in the township. But
yes, look, you are 100% accurate. There are always going to be a certain subsection of people out there that will try to game the system, right? That's why we have a duplicate account type reporting that Monica can review at any point in time to see if there's overexposure to a certain address, if so to speak. And then she has the tools to be able to go in, and she can take those accounts and she can flag those accounts, and she can take away their ability to register for things over a certain period of time. So if people are going to try and color outside the lines, Monica has the ability to hold them accountable, so to speak, to make sure that they don't do it again.
So right now we collect, how do we get proof of residency? Do they got to bring a utility bill, or they got to show their driver's license?
Utility bill, yeah.
And for age, what do we do about age? How do we verify age?
We don't verify age.
So if somebody's a senior, we just believe them, or, because.
Yeah, we just believe them. But then it also makes them ineligible for other programs. So if we have a senior specific related program, we don't want kids in, say, we're expecting a certain age group, it wouldn't let them register for that program, you know what I'm saying, or another program that's age specific. So just,
well, like
there's value in telling the truth.
The pool memberships,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a birth date associated with
Yes.
each one. And that's just, the mom or the dad putting in the person's birth date.
Sure.
I didn't know if we collected that.
I mean, they put in their birthday, and a lot of the seniors have been with us for such a long time that
they ain't getting younger.
they age in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but
None of us are.
we haven't made it like a big point there's so many other things to check right now.
So
a big point.
we get a name, we get a birth date, we get an email address, we get a physical address. We get a driver's license. So Kevin, what do you guys do with all that data?
Well, we would never take a a driver's license, so to speak, without incorporating our secure document functionality, which is part of the proposal that we did work with Monica on, so that it does provide an encrypted pathway. If she wanted to have people upload birth certificates, immunization records, driver's license, PII level information, that should not just be out there and easily seen by everyone, and information where if I were to upload it, I would certainly want to know, what are you going to do with that? So your ability to automatically destroy that data and be able to tell your community members that this data will only be out there, only be accessible by the people that need it, and it is automatically destroyed every year at the end of the year or from the year date from which you uploaded it. From a hosting and security standpoint, all we work with is local government. So we adhere to the strongest data security, hosting securities guidelines. We have over 12,000 local governments. That is evidence enough at what our internal security team is doing to make sure that this data is not compromised.
So you're just saying you take care of the data and you protect it, but do you monetize it in any way?
No, in no way, shape, or form.
And does Amazon do anything with it?
No, they do not. They're just
I
our
bet-
they are just our hosting service. They have no access to that actual community level data. Great question, though. That's certainly something that I look for when I'm partnering with a company, because there are a lot of companies out there where sometimes you wonder, how am I getting this for the price that I'm getting it? And that's because your data is really what's driving their ability to provide you that price point, because they will sell that data.
So what is it? You ultimately have like certain number of things you sell, packages. You have like your social media package, you have your reporting package, you have your recreational management package, that like is running the store of Park and Rec. What is it that we're looking to get like out of the gate?
Right out of the
get something.
right out of the gate, what was proposed was the CivicPlus recreation management solution.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Oh, CivicPlus, which is
Mhm.
part of CivicRec, the company that offers a bigger offering. Very good.
Ci-
Thank you.
CivicPlus is the company.
Yep.
CivicPlus recreation management software is the recreation solution.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I could be, we need a solution to our software. Our software is old and antiquated and can't keep up with what we need it to do. I could be looking at, and I have looked at other companies, but there's no other company that I could find that has the potential to then serve other parts of the township. So right now, the consideration that the park board would be making, not necessarily today, would be to consider CivicRec. And then from there, the rest of the township or the board of supervisors can decide if they want to expand. But, trying to be a good partner and listening to what they're saying in these meetings is they're looking for a single sign-on solution. This is the best option that I could find, single sign-in, but that ultimately solves the Park and Rec side of things, which is good for me. There are other ones out there, they're pretty or maybe have very similar function, but none of them have the capability to eventually branch off into the other parts of the township in this way.
Just
And I
a
bel-
quick comment on something Mike said earlier about the potential for our leagues to use this.
Mhm.
I would, because the way we're set up for most of our leagues now is they run independently, right? These are not township per se run teams. Like the township doesn't hire coaches to run the teams. The clubs take care of all that themselves. And it's a model that I think has worked, but I don't know if the clubs are tiring of that model or not, but I'd be careful that.
I mean, I know for I'll just speak for Mike. I know for baseball, we don't even get to control our registration. Cal Ripken controls it. So if they tell us to use Sports Engine, we use Sports Engine. If they tell us to change and undo everything we've done and all of our database work and move from Sports Engine to Engine Sports, we are moving to Engine Sports. So like, regardless of what anything the township wants us to do would just be duplicative because we'd still have to follow our league. I can't speak for YMS. I just know
Yeah.
from how I register on PA.
Yeah, the point I was going to make is I think that could become a slippery slope, especially if the money involved starts changing where it comes. So I think if the model works for the clubs now and the township's happy with them managing the way they are, maybe there's some pieces of it that could be useful, like the whole resident, non-resident determination and stuff like that. But I would just say I only had to say this comment because I won't be around for future debate, but that's really one I think we should engage with the clubs really deeply on to make sure that we get a thing that works for them.
Yeah. So, and Mike, just to ask the question, following up, Cal Rippon asks you for registration software. What about the ability to, for field reservations? Do they dictate that? Or could they use maybe our software for that piece of it so we have a better understanding of when they have games on what field and what coaches, using what field and that kind of thing?
Fields.
Yeah.
I'm
So there
I'm
could
sorry.
be some value in that piece of things.
I just think that, we don't know what, kids are doing. We don't know how much it costs. We have no information. We don't know how many residents are participating, how many non-residents are participating.
That we do know. I review all the addresses in our department, so we do have a full report of that.
How long does that take?
A lot of time, yes.
But they're not township leagues. I mean, the township.
Listen, I just understand. I understand. I'm just saying, I'm just asking,
no, I get that.
could it handle it? The guy says it can handle it. He says that other, municipalities do it. That's all I'm just asking.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to have more clarity on, what is happening with our leagues and the memberships and the registrations. I'd like to have more clarity on that.
It's a fair request. We could, the liaisons show up to provide information like that to us. We just have to ask them, I think.
Mhm.
Well, I think they should be required to give it. Like we have this, as part of the CAPRA, we have this league policy, the things that they're supposed to do in order to get permission to use the fields.
Right.
And one of them was, let's see, let's see your financials, right? So, we haven't seen that.
So we never finalized, or the board never finalized the league, the new league policy. So that would be part of the new league policy that has to come back before.
I think it's important that we understand that. Like, I don't know, a few years ago, I asked you, how much does it cost for a kid to play soccer? And, and I was like, it's $120. You're like, no, it's over 200, right? We should know that. That's all.
Okay. I can
Like-
bring the league policy back before the board again.
I don't think we have to wait for a system to come in to tell us that. I think the clubs can tell us that.
Yeah.
They should. They should.
If there's a desire to get more information, I think we just have to be clear with them. These guys are out there running programs. They have all the information. They're willing to share it. I think we just have to kind of clarify what it is we want them to share with us.
So let's
Go
bring that back,
revisit it. Okay.
get that on the agenda, and then we can look at it. And
So what I'll do is, hopefully tomorrow, send the league draft policy and you can all review it again.
If we want to support you on CIVICREC, Monica, it would be helpful if James could help us understand what the board doesn't like about it, unless it's just a dollars and cents thing. Because if it's dollars and cents thing, it's a harder argument. But there's something else, it would probably be helpful to know what we're up against.
So,
well, so the last time you brought this up, the contract had an automatic 5% increase every year. And to me, like, that's a non-starter. I don't understand that, significant increase year after year after year. I think if, maybe my arithmetic was wrong, but your program would be over $400,000 over 10 years. And like, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So, I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
If you don't mind me asking, what percentage would you like it to be for a technology company to make sure that we are delivering award-winning support and providing the necessary security levels? There is the 5% is, I don't, technically an industry standard in the IT world at this point in time, but I'm very open to hearing what you think it should be in order for us to continue to keep up with, because we do have to hire people in order to make sure that we're providing the best support. And unfortunately, costs are going up all across the country. It becomes a lot more difficult to hire people. Sure, Monica could maybe speak to, the challenges of hiring people for her staff and the increases that you may have seen there. So it is certainly something that I would love to have a conversation with, and more than happy to bring that back to our leadership team to see where we can maybe find middle ground with that percentage increase.
Sorry.
What was that?
Do you make anything off a transactional basis?
Our processing partners are all very competitive in their rates. So we're not, so they're going to charge you.
From our transactions, do you charge anything off our transactions?
No. So you'll have an agreement.
They don't make money based off the number of sales we get. So if you wanted to change how you would, if we have to somehow pay them, right, then you would, if you're not going to give them some sort of percentage increase, you'd probably have to give them some sort of vig off a transactional.
So
5% seems huge. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what
the first
different than software I've used.
The numbers weren't included in this presentation, but the previous ones, I'm just roughly, it was like $39,000 for the first year, but you were going to discount that down to like 32,000. And then every year it would go up, I think from the 39, 5%, 5%, 5%, but maybe it was from the 32, 5%, 5%.
It was 5%. It was 5% from the 32. You're very, very close to the proposed number that we put in front of you. So it'd be 5% from the 32.
I mean, it just seems like all your work is that first year. And then after that, all the residents are doing the work, and, you're just paying for the Amazon stuff. And
hosting security support, ongoing enhancements of the product, making sure that we're staying ahead of the times. That's why people partner with CivicPlus. It's not just for the now. Yeah. It's to make sure that you're there for the future. One of the things that we've included in the proposal is the digital accessibility, which is something that is no longer a matter of if, it is simply a matter of when. The state of Pennsylvania will be putting some sort of guidelines into place where you're going to have a tool set online for those people that have visual and audio disabilities. So it's something that we've included in, and that's something that a vast amount of our research and development budget comes from the annual fees that we charge to our customer base. We look at it as a way of being upfront. The last thing that we want to do as an organization is come to you 4 years from now and say, due to circumstances out of our control, unfortunately, we're going to need to raise your annual fee 15%, 20%. We don't want to do that as an organization. We want to be very forthright. We understand that you have budgets to account for year in, year out. So this is something that our 12,000 customer base across the country has actually been pretty appreciative of, in the fact that they have they know that there's not going to be a surprise coming down the road.
So let me ask you this, maybe this will clarify something. So if you were to come out with a new product or accessibility as part of your thing next year, is that going to be an add-on and get charged in order to have access to that? Or in your contract where you're saying the 5%, is that, you know, the 5% goes in and whatever we come up with creatively in our team, and now as part of the CivicPlus thing, you get it all?
Yeah, we very much try to be a organization that's focused on when we enhance something, you receive that as part of what you're already paying. A really great example of that is in 2024, we released our equipment rental functionality. It was something that the industry was clamoring for. They had people coming in, they wanted them to be able to rent a basketball at their gymnasium or whatever it may be. And they didn't have a way of tracking all of these assets, so to speak. We built out that entire functionality set, and all 1,400 plus of our recreation customers this year received that functionality free of charge.
From the other programs that you saw, is that 5% in line with like how the other programs priced?
Oh, it's been a long time since I've gotten quotes for some of the other companies, but I mean, I could still.
Do you even know if any of your other software, like, you know, even in your pickleball software, any of those other softwares, is that how they increase?
I'd have to go back and look. I'm sorry. I don't know that offhand, but I can look and report back.
I would be very surprised if we are paying, you know, if we have an agreement where it increases 5% each year.
I don't think it does automatically increase. I think but I'd have to go back and look. I don't know offhand.
Kevin, can you talk about the reporting? What kind of reporting things this system can do?
Absolutely. I'll pull it up on my screen here. Can everyone see the reports?
Okay. All right.
Can you see my screen?
Sure. And Kevin, just let you know, we have 5 minutes until we're supposed to be hard out of the building. We just recognize that the time is flying by.
Fair
So,
enough.
if
Fair
you
enough.
could just make it brief, and then we
Mhm.
can, and then if
So-
there's
Well,
any follow-up questions.
you know, I think let's just wrap it up. And,
Okay.
you know, like, I really think that, you know, I think you should maybe sit with Kevin and list out the things that you're doing now. And then what are the capabilities that Civic Rec management, you know, can do? And then what more can Civic Rec do than what, you know, your current system is?
Sure. Kevin and I have done that together, and I could do that for you.
That should be part of this.
Sure.
Like, that should be part, like, I'd like to see that.
We have done that. And in fact, what you see on your screen here is really where we've taken work done by the ICMA. They talk about what it costs to continue to work in a manual fashion. And Monica and I, we worked it out based off of the amount of phone calls, walk-ins, transactions, and most importantly for Monica's team, as you heard earlier, was the email aspect. And our ability through what we can do with SecureDoc was going to be an immediate change for her staff and the amount of emails that they need to be sending out and responsive to. And we were very, very low in our estimate of, hey, if we can just reduce 50% of this, then we had it calculated out to a $40,000 per year savings based off of, and this isn't CivicPlus data, this is based off of ICMA. So the ICMA organization, they went out and they hired the Gartner Group and the Yankee Group, and they developed this understanding of what it costs when you're doing a walk-in transaction as opposed to a self-service, web self-service type transaction. And based off of the amount of efficiency that we can provide Monica's staff, this is a very low estimate number of the ROI of providing these additional functionalities to Monica and her team.
So we could use this for guest passes at the pool. Like, they can pay online. They will only pay online with a guest pass, or we still have a gate attendant to take
We would still have to have gate attendants because people show up expecting to be able to pay for a guest pass. So,
Unless we ever
Well-
decide to change that and go to a mobile app and make them buy over the phone. But let's handle that another night.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And we got to thank Dennis one last time. It's his last
Um,
meeting.
Community,
So Kevin, I'll catch back up with you on some of the follow-up questions and I'll connect
Yes.
with Mike. And maybe he can get me some further questions and we can feed that back to the board. Sound good?
I would like nothing more. I really appreciate you all having me here today. Appreciate all the wonderful questions, just great questions. Looking to provide you some guidance as to what we're capable of doing. So thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful night. Go Birds.
Thank you, Kevin.
thanks, Kevin. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Kevin. Thank you.
Community Day.
We can just,
Table that.
yeah.
We're going to table Community Day conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We had our liaison report. Thanks for coming, Michael. Before we have a motion to adjourn. Yep. Thanks again, Dennis. Really appreciate you, bud.
Thank you, Dennis.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mike Blundy. Dennis Wasaki's final motion to adjourn. Dennis, Michael Blundy, second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.